Close your eyes now, take a deep breath. You are about to dive into a state where the mind meets emptiness, where the teachings of Miyamoto Musashi merge with the ancestral vibration of 432 Hz. It's not about sleep, it's about waking up while resting. Because Musashi never taught just sword techniques, he taught the art of existing with absolute precision. The frequency you hear right now was not chosen at random. 432 Hz is known as the frequency of the universe, the vibration that resonates with the very fabric of nature. While the modern world has adopted 440 Hz as the standard, creating a subtle dissonance with our being, 432 Hz brings us back into primordial alignment. Musashi lived before any theory about sound frequencies, but he understood something fundamental. There is a natural harmony that, when found, makes everything more fluid, clearer, more true. He called it being in tune with the rhythm of heaven and earth. Think about it. Musashi spent years in caves, meditating, training alone, facing the most absolute silence. There was no music. There were no distractions. Just the sound of your own breathing, the wind cutting through the rocks, the water running over the rocks. He learned to hear frequencies that most people will never notice, the pulse of existence. And in that deep silence, he discovered that the noisy mind is the weak mind. True strength is born when you can silence the internal chaos and tune into something greater. Now, as you hear these sound waves passing through your consciousness, understand one thing. Musashi was not seeking peace. He sought clarity. Peace is passive. Clarity is active. It is the ability to see reality exactly as it is, without filters, without illusions, without fear. When your mind is clear, you don't need to think about what to do. You simply act, and act right. This is the principle of Hyo-ho, the way of strategy. It's not about planning every move. It's about being so present, so sharp, that the right move comes naturally. This 432 Hz frequency operates exactly on this principle. She doesn't force anything, don't manipulate, just line up. Like a river that finds its way between rocks effortlessly, the vibration permeates your mind, dissolving resistances, softening tensions. Musashi wrote in the Book of Five Rings that one must perceive that which cannot be seen. This is not empty mysticism. It's neuroscience before neuroscience existed. Your conscious mind processes maybe 5% of what's happening. The rest? It's deep down in the layers that you don't access when you're awake, but that guide your decisions, your fears, your reactions. And that's where sleep with intention becomes a tool for transformation. Because when you sleep listening to these teachings, your critical mind lets its guard down, defenses fall. And the truths that Musashi took decades to distill can finally sink in. You're not just resting, it is being reprogrammed by the wisdom of a man who has won more than 60 deadly duels and never lost one. A man who at 21 was already a legend, but who at 60 recognized that everything he had learned about fighting was, in fact, about life. Let that sink in now. Musashi did not separate the sword from existence. For him, every movement with the blade was a reflection of how you face reality. If you hesitate with the sword, you hesitate in life. If you are impulsive in battle, you are impulsive in everything. Self-knowledge did not come from passive introspection. It came from putting yourself in situations where the truth about yourself couldn't be hidden. Duels to the death are merciless mirrors. You see yourself exactly as you are. No masks. Now think about your own life. How many times have you hesitated when you should have acted? How many times have you acted when you should have waited? Musashi taught that there are rhythms in everything. Rhythm in combat, rhythm in business, rhythm in human relationships. Learning these rhythms is learning to dance with life instead of fighting against it. And this dance requires something that modern society has almost killed. Total presence. No physical presence. Presence of being. Being so completely in the moment that past and future cease to exist. The 400 MHz frequency facilitates this state. Studies show that this vibration reduces the activity of the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for analytical thinking and constant worry. When this region decreases its activity, other older parts of the brain emerge. The limbic system, the brainstem, the areas that process emotion, intuition, instinct. Musashi accessed these states naturally. He called it mushin, mindless mind. It's not stupid emptiness, it is conscious emptiness. It's the difference between not thinking because you are ignorant and not thinking because you have transcended the need. As you listen, your breathing naturally slows down. Your heartbeat synchronizes with the frequency. This is not a suggestion, it's physics. Sound waves are pressure waves that affect literally every cell in your body. The water that makes up 70% of you vibrates in response. And when it vibrates at 400 Hz, something interesting happens. Natural harmonics begin to resonate. It's like tuning a musical instrument. Suddenly, everything sounds better, more coherent, more integrated. Musashi dedicated the last years of his life isolated in a cave, writing. Not because he needed fame, he already had it. Not because I needed money, he didn't care. He wrote because he realized that true victory is not defeating external enemies. It's about integrating the inmates. All the opponents he faced were just projections. The real adversary has always been fear, the doubt, the ego, and these enemies are never defeated by brute force. They are dissolved by understanding. Now, you may be thinking, but how do you apply this today? We do not live in an age of samurai. We do not face life or death duels. True, but you face something worse. Face constant fragmentation of attention. Face the chronic anxiety of a world that never stops. It faces the loss of meaning in a culture that values speed over depth. Musashi would say these are his modern duels, and you're missing most of them. The solution he would offer is the same one he gave for the sword. Train tirelessly until the extraordinary becomes ordinary. Not through tense effort, but through relaxed, steady practice. He trained 10,000 cuts a day, not because every cut was perfect, but because in the 10,000th cut, something beyond technique emerged. The body learned, the mind quieted, and the spirit manifested itself through the blade. You have your own 10,000 repetitions waiting. It could be 10,000 conscious breaths, 10,000 moments of total presence, 10,000 choices of clarity instead of reaction. And while you sleep listening to this, while these frequencies massage your consciousness, something is being planted. Neuroplasticity is not just a nice word, it's the brain's actual ability to reorganize itself. New connections being formed, old patterns being dissolved. Musashi wrote that you should respect the gods and Buddhas, but not depend on them. This is radical. In a country where religion permeated everything, he said, you are responsible. There is no external savior. There is no magic technique. There's just you, your sword, and the truth of the moment. Translating for now, no external tool will save you. Not that frequency. Neither do these teachings, nor any guru or system. They are just mirrors, just pointers. You still have to walk, but walking without direction is just wandering. And Musashi was obsessed with directing. He called it Michi, the path. Every samurai needed a path, not just goals. One way is different. The goal is destiny. Path is process. You can achieve a goal and feel empty, but a true path fills you at every step, because the path is you becoming more you. It's like sculpture. You don't add anything. You remove everything that is not essential. And here's a secret that Musashi discovered too late. The path never ends. Even at 60, having mastered the sword, strategy, painting, calligraphy, he recognized that he was just beginning to understand. This humility was not weakness. It was the strength of someone who realizes that the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. The universe is infinitely more complex than any individual mind can capture. But you can tune into it. It may resonate. The 402 Hz frequency is just a port, one among thousands. But it is a door that many have walked through and reported the same. There is something beyond the chattering mind. There is a silent space where everything makes sense without needing explanation. Musashi lived in this space. Not always. Nobody lives forever, but he knew how to access it. And one of the keys was through the body. He insisted, train the body and the mind will follow. Conscience is not separate from the flesh. It is through the flesh that it manifests itself. Then, while you're lying down, feel your body. Don't think about it. Feel. The difference is gigantic. Thinking about the body as being in your head, analyzing. Feeling the body as being present, inhabiting it. Musashi said that the body is the castle. If the castle is strong, no enemy can invade it. But strength here doesn't mean muscles. It means rooting. It means being so present in your own skin that nothing external can easily destabilize you. There is a concept in Zen that Musashi completely embodied. Fudoshin, the still mind. Not immovable like stone, motionless as water. Water is the perfect example. It adapts to any form but never loses its nature. It can be gentle or devastating. It can nourish or destroy. But it always flows, always finds the way. Your mind should be like this. Fluid but centered. Adaptable but not shaken. Now there is something about sleep that needs to be said. In ancient Japan, it was believed that during sleep, the soul wandered. It was no foolish superstition. It was recognition that consciousness is not fixed. During REM sleep, your brain is just as active as it is when awake, sometimes more. But it's processing differently. It's integrating. It's resolving. It is creating. Musashi respected sleep because he knew the warrior who doesn't rest is the warrior who dies early. But qualified rest is different from exhausted collapse. Qualified rest is intentional. You prepare, creates environment. And yes, choose what your mind will process during the night. This is why shamans of all cultures have always had pre-sleep rituals, not because spirits visit, but because the subconscious mind is programmable, especially in moments of transition between wakefulness and sleep, and these portals are precious. Musashi understood portals. He wrote about ma'ai, the correct distance. In combat, it is the distance between you and the opponent where you are safe but can attack instantly. Beyond that distance, nothing happens. Too much inside, you die. The perfect distance is a portal of possibilities. In life, ma'ai is about timing, about being in the right place, at the right time, with the right attention, not by luck, for heightened sensitivity. This sensitivity is what 432 Hertz is cultivating now. Because when your nervous system calms down when the fight or flight response subsides, more subtle sensors wake up. You begin to notice things that previously went unnoticed. A slight discomfort that is an early warning of illness, a subtle shift in the energy of a room. Tension does not dictate a conversation. Musashi was a master at this. It is said that he could feel the attack coming before the opponent moved. It wasn't magic. It was total attention to the microsignals. And you can develop this, not for duels, but for life. Imagine realizing when you're starting to fall into destructive patterns, not after you've already done damage, but on the first impulse. Imagine feeling when a decision is aligned with your path, or when it is just ego in disguise. Musashi called this ken, the penetrating gaze. It's not seeing with your eyes. It's seeing with the whole being. There is a famous story about Musashi. Once, he was about to duel a skilled opponent. But Musashi arrived hours late intentionally. His opponent was furious, out of control. When Musashi finally appeared, the duel was over in seconds, because Musashi had already won psychologically. He understood that the true battle is not physical, it's mental, it's emotional. It is controlling the internal state while influencing the external state of the other. This is not dirty manipulation, it's a conscious strategy. And it works because most people live on autopilot. They react instead of responding. Reaction is unconscious. Answer is choice. The difference between the two is presence, and presence is exactly what you're cultivating right now, in this moment, listening to these words flow as the frequency works in layers that you can't name but can feel. Musashi also taught about broken rhythm. When everyone expects you to do A, you do B, not out of rebellion, but out of strategy. Modern life has an expected rhythm, being born, studying, working, getting married, consuming, dying. Musashi would break this rhythm without hesitation, not because rhythm is intrinsically bad, but because following any rhythm blindly is spiritual death. You need to choose your own pace. Even if it's the same one everyone follows, if you chose it consciously, it changes everything. A conscious choice requires brutal self-knowledge. Not self-awareness from superficial therapy, where you tell pretty stories about why you are the way you are, dueling self-awareness, where you see yourself functioning under extreme pressure. Musashi knew himself completely because he tested himself completely. You don't need deadly duels, but it needs real challenges. You need to put yourself in situations where you can't fake it, where you are either true or you fail. Modern society protects us too much from these situations. We create layers and layers of comfort and security. And on the surface, it looks good. But the side effect is that we never discover who we really are. We never test our limits. We never find our true power because we never need to access it. Musashi would say, this is the true tragedy. Living a whole life without ever having lived fully. Now breathe. Feel the vibration. 432 Hertz is not just sound, it's a reminder. Reminder that you are more than your thoughts, more than your worries, more than your story. You are the consciousness that witnesses all of this. And this consciousness, when it is not identified with the drama, when it is just present, is invincible. Nothing can touch her. Nothing can hurt her. She simply is. Musashi discovered this in the most unlikely of places, in the midst of extreme violence. When death is inches away, something interesting happens. Everything that is not essential disappears. Worry about the past? Irrelevant. Anxiety about the future? Useless. There is only now. There is only this moment, this breath, this movement. And in this forced clarity, Musashi found freedom. He realized he could access this state without the threat of death, through practice, through discipline, through intention. This is why samurai meditation was different from monastic meditation. Monks meditated to transcend the world. Samurai meditated to penetrate it more deeply, to be so present that every action became meditation. Walking was meditation, eating was meditation, sharpening the sword was meditation, because meditation is not about sitting still, it's about quality of attention. It's about being fully where you are, fully doing what you're doing. And this quality can be trained during sleep. It seems paradoxical, but it is not, because intention before bed programs the subconscious. If you sleep with a mind full of junk, Negative news, toxic social media, empty conversations. Your subconscious processes junk. If you sleep with clear intention, with deep teachings permeating your consciousness, with frequencies that align rather than fragment, your subconscious works with higher material. Musashi wrote every word of the Book of Five Rings with this in mind. He wasn't trying to impress anyone. I wasn't creating beautiful literature. It was distilling decades of experience into applicable principles, and each principle was tested. If it didn't work in real combat, it was discarded. This brutal honesty with reality is rare. Most people prefer pretty theories that don't work to ugly truths that do. But truth has a special quality. It resonates. When you hear something true, something in you recognizes it. No proof needed, no argument needed. You just know. It's like when someone talks about real love versus obsessive passion. If you've tried both, you know the difference instantly. No amount of words can convey this difference to anyone who has never felt it. But one experience, and everything becomes clear. Musashi tried to convey truths like this, truths that only make complete sense when you experience them. That's why he always emphasized, don't just read, practice. Don't just listen, do. Knowledge without application is entertainment. With application, it becomes transformation. And transformation is uncomfortable. It's breaking old patterns. It's dismantling who you thought you were to become who you really are. Frequency works at this level. She doesn't give you anything new, it removes interference. Like when you clean a dirty window. The landscape has always been there. You just couldn't see clearly. 432 Hertz clears the windows of perception. And what you see may be surprising. It can be challenging. It may reveal truths you have been avoiding. But it will always be more real than the comfortable illusion. Think about how many beliefs you carry that you never question. About yourself, about the world, about what is possible. Musashi questioned everything, even the most sacred traditions of Japanese swordsmanship. Master said that it was necessary to use a specific sword in a specific way. Musashi said, nonsense, use what works. He fought with two swords when everyone else used one. He fought with wooden swords when they expected steel. Once he fought with a makeshift oar and won. Because he understood, the gun is not what you hold, it's who you are. And who you are is not fixed, it's fluid, it's evolutionary. This is the beauty and terror of human existence. You can change, anytime. The past doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many times you failed. It doesn't matter how deeply you're stuck in patterns. With real decision, with consistent practice, with brutal honesty, you can completely reshape who you are. Musashi is proof. He started out as an arrogant, violent young man seeking only glory. He ended up as a wise man who understood that true victory is not having to fight. But this evolution took time. It took decades of failures, victories, loneliness, reflection. There is no shortcut. You can accelerate with the right tools, with the right teachings, with the right frequencies. But you still have to walk. You still have to do the work. And the work is daily. It's moment to moment. It's choosing presence over distraction 1,000 times a day. It's choosing clarity over comfort. It is choosing truth over self-deception. Musashi had a concept called heijoshin, everyday mind. The idea is that your mental state in an extreme situation should be the same as your mental state doing laundry. No dramatic spikes, no depressive valleys, just a steady line of clear presence. This seems boring to the stimulation-addicted modern mind, but it's liberating. Because when you don't need drama to feel alive, it's really alive. You are there for the subtle details that contain all the beauty. Right now, as you listen, there are hundreds of processes happening in your body. Your heart beating, your lungs expanding, cells regenerating, toxins being eliminated, memories being consolidated, and you don't consciously control any of it. It's automatic. But Musashi would teach. Just because it's automatic doesn't mean you can't influence it. Clear intention affects physiology. It has been scientifically proven. Visualization changes brain chemistry. Gratitude changes heart rate. Presence changes genetic expression. So as you sleep, as these words and frequencies permeate your being, there is an intention. The intention is alignment. Alignment with your deepest nature. Alignment with the natural flow of life. Alignment with the wisdom that Musashi spent a life distilling. Not to make you a 17th century warrior, but to become a fully realized human being in the 21st century. And fulfillment doesn't come from accumulating, it comes from integrating. You don't need more information, it needs more integration. All this information you've consumed throughout your life, how many percent have you actually integrated? How many percent has it become part of how you live? Musashi integrated everything. Each duel was a lesson. Every mistake was a teacher. Every victory was a potential trap if he believed his own propaganda. He maintained Shoshin, beginner's mind, always learning, always questioning, always refining. This is the posture that transforms, not the arrogance of someone who knows everything. Not the insecurity of those who doubt everything. No, but but confident humility of someone who knows they don't know, but is committed to finding out. And discovery is an infinite process. The universe always has more to reveal. You always have more depth to explore. Musashi fully realized this only in the last years of his life. He wrote that he finally understood the path at 60, after 6 decades of intense search. This should be liberating for you. It means there is no rush. There is no deadline. You are not late. You're exactly where you need to be to learn what you need to learn now. Maybe you need to learn patience, maybe courage, maybe acceptance, maybe assertiveness. Each phase of life brings its lessons. And if you resist, if you want to be in another phase, you lose the present, lose the now, and now it's all that's real. Musashi constantly emphasized this. Be in the moment, not in the past, not in the future. Here, now, fully. And when you're fully present, something magical happens. Time slows down, not literally, but perceptually. You notice more, process more, live longer. 10 minutes of total presence are richer than 10 hours on autopilot. This is the secret to real longevity. Not just live many years, but live deeply every moment. And the 482 Hz frequency facilitates this presence. It calms the chatty mind, calms the background anxiety, creates internal space. And in that space, you can hear the subtle voice of intuition. Musashi completely trusted intuition. Not impulsive intuition, but intuition cultivated through years of practice and presence. He knew when to attack without thinking. I knew when to back off without analyzing. Because I had integrated so much knowledge that I no longer needed to consciously access. It became part of him. You can develop this in your area. Whatever you do, if you practice with full presence, you eventually reach a level where you're no longer thinking. It's flowing. Musicians know this state. Athletes know. Artists know. That's when you disappear and only the action remains. Just the music, just the movement, just creation. Musashi lived there, and he taught. This is the objective, not perfect technical skill, but complete union between you and the action. This dissolves suffering, because suffering comes from internal division. Part of you wants one thing, part wants another, part acts, part sabotages itself. When you are unified, when all parts are aligned, there is peace, not passive peace for those who gave up. Dynamic peace of those who are totally committed. Musashi had this peace, even in the midst of chaos, even surrounded by enemies, because externally it was in chaos, but internally it was silent. Cultivate this inner silence, not through suppressing thoughts, but through not identifying with them. Thoughts come and go, like clouds in the sky. You're not the clouds, you're the sky, vast, imperturbable, ever-present. Clouds can be storm or calm. The sky remains. This is the mind that Musashi cultivated. This is the mind that is available to you now, always. And the more you rest in this heaven consciousness, the more you realize there are no real enemies, there are only lessons. Even the most difficult people in your life are teachers. They are revealing parts of you that need attention. Parts don't work out us. Non-integrated parts. Musashi eventually realized that all of the opponents he killed were aspects of himself being purified. This realization completely transformed him. So stop seeing obstacles as problems. See it as training. Musashi actively sought out the most dangerous duelists. Why? Because fighting against weak people doesn't make you stronger. Only real challenge brings real growth. Your life is presenting you with exactly the challenges you need, not out of cosmic cruelty, but because you are ready. Maybe your conscious mind doesn't feel ready, but something deeper within you called these experiences. Trust that. Trust the process. Trust that there is a greater intelligence operating. Musashi called it heaven and earth. Taoism calls it Tao. Modern science calls it emergent complexity. The name doesn't matter. Experience matters. And the experience is that when you stop fighting life and start flowing with it, doors open. Opportunities appear. Synchronicities multiply. But flowing is not passivity. It is appropriate action. It's doing what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, the way it needs to be done, without excessive effort. No laziness, with precision. Musashi exemplified this. His movements were economical. No flourish, no waste. Every cut had intention. Every step had purpose. Live like this. Cut out what doesn't work. Move with purpose. And rest deeply when it's time to rest. Now it's time to rest. Not because you are weak, because you are wise. Rest restores. Complete rest. Rest allows what you have learned to become part of you. Then relax completely. Surrender to the process. Trust that while you sleep, while this frequency works, while these teachings reverberate in the deep chambers of your consciousness, transformation is happening. Not dramatic, not obvious, but real. Cell phone, fundamental. And tomorrow, when you wake up, you might not feel completely different, but something will have changed, something subtle, A calmer response to a provocation, a clearer perception in a decision, a moment of presence where before there was only reaction. These small changes add up, day after day, night after night, until one day you look back and barely recognize who you were, and look ahead and see infinite possibilities. Musashi walked this path alone. You are not alone. You have these teachings. You have this frequency. You have your own inner wisdom waiting to be accessed. And most importantly, you have a choice. In each moment you choose, fear or courage, reaction or response, fragmentation or presence. Choose well, conscious choice, and watch your life transform into a work of art. A living, breathing, constantly evolving work of art, like Musashi, as it should be.